So welcome into this video here. Today we're going to talk about how to quickly identify overextended breakouts, how to know when to take them, and how to know when not to take them. So basically what we're going to see here is that we're going to look at the higher time frame structure and the lower time frame structure here to see when we can take them and when we can take advantage of them and when we shouldn't take them. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So I'm going to draw some candles here and yeah, let's see. So we got this this right here, and let's say we're price coming up to a resistance here, like this, and then we're going to get a red candle like this one right here, a few ones. So basically we got a move down now, right? Let me make it a steeper wick for this one. So we got a move coming down now. So we're basically establishing a new support down here on the lower time frame. So basically this is just a 15 or a 30-minute time frame, depending on, it really does matter, like the 1 hour time frame, 30-minute or 15-minute. So either one of those. And now what we see is this candle breaking out here. So we see this candle breaking out now. And basically what an overextended breakout is basically just when we have overextension, it just means that it's overextended this move here. So we are further away from support. When we are further away from support, we want to be close to support. So we want to be the most close that we can be. So really what an overextended breakout is this here. So let me get draw an example here for you of something that's not an overextended breakout here. So basically, if we see these candles here, let me draw the exact same real quick. So we see a resistance here and we see some candles coming down and we basically see a new support getting created down here too. We then see some candles coming up here like this, and we close right at that resistance. So we can't really take any buys yet, but now we see this red candle coming in here, getting a new resistance. And then we see this new candle closing above here. So now it's no longer overextended. And now we can take this move here. We're confident in the move that we can begin to go up here with a new support and a breakout above that range. So basically what we want to look for in these overextended breakouts here is something else, because we typically see that when we have moved a lot here, we tend to not move in our like favorite direction here. So we want to take buys off of this example right here when we close above this overall range we created here on that resistance right here. So when we have created resistance here, we want to look for, like, it maybe looks something like you know, like this. Oh, sorry. Let me create this. So it looks like something like this here. We got some candles coming up, you know, like this. And basically we just have structure, right? So we're pretty far away from support. And let's say that this move is around, you know, 70, 80 pips. So let's imagine that this move here is like 70 or 80 pips. So when we see this move here, and it's like 80 pips, and we get a breakout up here at that range, at this one, we know that this is overextended because we are 1, 2, 3 candles from support on the 30-minute maybe, and then we're looking to see if we can get this breakout here. But what we want to look for when we have these overextended breakouts here is basically a wick to the left, or a wick that's pretty close to this one. So maybe this wick, or maybe there was another wick over here to the left. But we want to take advantage of a wick there is to the left. So we always want to look to the left and see, is there any wick that we can use to our entry? Because let me draw it over here. So basically we have the higher time frame that gotta align with the overextended breakout here. So basically what we want to see on the higher time frame is basically just a candle. You know, if we're bullish in this example here, we got to see a 4-hour time frame that has been running up like this. So basically now in this move here, let me draw it like this. So basically we're making a bottom wick for this 4-hour time frames candle right here. So basically now, let's say that we have a wick like this, and this right here is the daily and 4-hour high. So basically we say like this, we have the daily high, we have the 4-hour high. So when we have the daily high and we have the 4-hour high sitting right here, and this is the 4-hour time frame, so 4-hour and 30, then we can see that we have this wick here, which represents this right here. So this wick is the daily and 4-hour high, which is this wick over here that's represented further away from the range on the 30-minute or 15-minute, depending on what time frame you're on. But you typically see the breakout on all time frames. So the 30, 15, that doesn't really matter. It's kind of the same here. So you can use it on both time frames. So when we have this overextension here, when to take it is when you basically have this wick right here. If this wick here was this steep and you couldn't have an entry on that wick, I wouldn't really want to anticipate in this move if we only had a 30 high, a 15 high, and a 1-hour high, because that typically don't work. It typically taps you in here. Oh, sorry. It typically taps you in here, and we're going to move straight down again, because now we're creating a resistance, and maybe then we can get a new support to take the breakout. So that would be best to take the breakout with that. But in this example here, when we have this wick over here to the left that we can use, so let's say we have this one here. So basically, let's say this candle here came up right to the wick, right? These one are exactly the same height. And now we have a candle that closed above. We have the 4-hour and day and the 4-hour time frame looking like this, sorry. And we got the 30 or 50-minute looking like this structure over here. So basically now what happened is, let me remove this box here. You know that is an 80 pip move. So let's say we got this one here. So this move here that came down with all these bearish candles here is basically just the bottom wick being created on this 4-hour candle here. So when we closed in the 4-hour time frame, it was up here. Now we had this move coming down with these 3 bearish candles, which created the bottom wick for that 4-hour candle right here. So let's say the 4-hour time frame has a lot of clean range here. We would expect this 4-hour time frame to just begin to run here when we have these candles coming up, and we're extremely bullish on all these candles here. So this red box here represents the lower structure or the structure here on the 15 and 30 time frame. So basically the red box is the red box on the right side as to the left side here. So let me change the color here real quick. Let's make it a purple here. And this structure here is basically this wick here pulling up again now. So we're coming back up on the 4-hour time frame. And now we're coming up to the daily high and to the 4-hour high. So we got the 4-hour previous high here, which is this one, and we got the daily break of high. So when we have this wick here to the left, you gotta look out for this wick, because that's the wick you're gonna enter off. So maybe sometimes, just sometimes, it's a little higher or a little steeper wick. So we maybe got this wick right here. Then you're gonna see, okay, can I enter up here instead? What's the difference? Because if it's only like a 5 pip difference, 4 pip difference, or maybe 3 pips, I would sacrifice this entry here because that's a lower probability setup to just use this entry here, because that's the daily high and 4-hour high. So whatever low we have created on this 15 or 30, I would use that as my stop, and I would get activated right on this candle here. We've taken a lot of these setups here, and it tends to work best when we have the higher time frame in our favor too. So with these overextended breakouts here, we gotta have the higher time frame in order. We gotta have the higher time frame trend so we can take advantage of that, and we gotta see and look for that wick. So it can still work if we look to the right here and see if we have this steep wick here. But what I tend to see is that if we don't have that steep wick, the wick to take an entry off, like the higher time frame highs wick, we tend to not really drive. We tend to come, right back down, as I said before. Then we create a new resistance, and then we get the new support and closure above. You could wait for that too. Sometimes it doesn't give us that. It just begin to move down here, because maybe the move is already finished and we're going to create some new structures set up for the next session and all of that basically. So what we really want to look for here when we take these overextended breakouts is basically the wick here. You see at the purple arrow over there. So basically we want to look for this wick right here, and that typically is the daily or 4-hour high here, or maybe even the daily high and previous 4-hour high, something like that. So we have a higher time frame high to take the entry off. That adds a lot of confirmation to the overextended breakouts. And we got and basically when not to take it is when you don't have that wick. So basically we just need that wick of the higher time frame and know the structure of the higher time frame. And that's why the higher time frame to lower time frame correlation is extremely important here on the charts. Like it's really, really important. I can't put enough emphasis on it because we use it to our advantage so much. And I've been in this move. I've been trading with a lot of people that have been in this move before. They got stopped out because we didn't really we couldn't really figure out what was the thing that separated the good overextended breakouts from the bad overextended breakouts. But now we know, and now we know that it's the higher time frame that correlates to the lower time frame. And basically, all we gotta look for is basically this higher time frame wick, and it is pretty different from setup to setup, and it can vary a little from what setup type it is, or all of that, or sorry, what entry type and all of that, and what time frame it is, if it's only the 15 or we got a resistance in the way, or a lot of things. But this is just simply explained, and if you see this in the market here, I would look for this wick over here to the left for the overextension of a breakout here. And that's basically when I would take it, and when I wouldn't take it is when we don't have that higher time frame wick and it's only the 15 or 30. Then I wouldn't really participate in an overextended breakout. And just to simplify things a little here, basically an overextended breakout is simply just when we're so far away from a support. So we have already moved up quite a lot here. And I would say from a range of about like 60 to 100 pips maybe. So when we have moved around like 60 to 100 pips and or we are very far away from support, that's typically the overextended breakout. So the closer we are to support, even a fresh support would be great. So let's say that move up here happened and we saw that this basically gave us a new support and we got the daily high. Now it's even better. So you could wait for that too. So now we have a new support created, new resistance, and we closed above that, and we can take the entry here, create a low, and that will be our entry right there. So that would be even better. We like when we have very, very close supports and resistance to take the sells off, supports to take the buys off. But sometimes we don't get that. And sometimes we have very strong trends. And sometimes we just want to be a part of the move and want to catch the move still, even though we have overextension. Maybe try it out, maybe low risk lower, maybe try it for yourself here, see if it works, see if it don't work, see when it work and when it doesn't work. But this is what I've been figuring out lately, and this is really what have been working for me, and the data shows too. So yeah, I really hope that you like this video here, and I hope that you could have a little more information about what is really an overextended breakout here, and what's not, and when to take it and when not to take it here. So I hope this gave you a lot more insight, and yeah, I hope y'all see you in the next video here. So yeah, see ya.